Oh boy. So, this is absolutely not the trade idea that I thought we would ever be discussing. Not necessarily because the player is a bad player, or because he had a bad path or something like that, but because we're talking about the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. This is the underrated trade that we have been looking for. And it's right at Kent Hughes' fingertips. Because I wanted to respond to two posts made on Reddit from various subreddits that dive into the Bruins and potentially get the conversation going on the Montreal Canadiens. Here's a post made by Ethereal3XP on the Boston Bruins subreddit. Rumor: the Bees are reportedly shopping a top forward in a potential off-season shakeup. The Bruins are reportedly exploring the trade market for Pavel Zacha as front office seeks value before the decline. With the off-season heating up, the Boston Bruins are reportedly considering moving forward Pavel Zacha while his market value still holds weight. It's starting to look like Zacha may have played his last game in a Bruins jersey. NHL analyst Michael DeRosa of NHLTR is reporting that the Boston Bruins are entertaining trade scenarios involving Zacha, an indication that the front office could be ready to make bold changes this summer. Basu emphasized the kind of return Boston might seek. If Zacha can bring in a decent draft pick and a prospect with 2 years left in his contract, that would make a lot of sense for the Bruins to consider, even if it would mean dealing with someone like the hated Canadiens. And this idea is kind of a match made in heaven, is it not? If you go over to Pavel Zacha and you take a look at his profile, I remember the days back when he was a 6th overall pick, taken before some really notable names in the 2015 NHL Entry Draft. Zacha was taken a few picks before Zach Werenski, Timo Meier, Mikko Rantanen, and others. And yeah, I think it goes without saying he has not been nearly as good as some of those guys. So there always has been some sort of buyer's remorse with Pavel Zacha, with his time in the New Jersey Devils system never becoming a Mikko Rantanen caliber player. But the past few years, he has been in Boston and he has been looking pretty good. 57 points and 59 points in his first 2 seasons with the Bees, only to get 47 points in 82 games this year. You can understand why he had declined in point production with the acquisition of Elias Lindholm and the ever more presence of Charlie Coyle. It was understandable to see why Zacha would kind of take a little bit of a back step, but still, good player, very solid guy, and he is only 28 years old, signed on till the end of 2027, making $4.75 million a year. A very reasonable dollar amount for a guy who could be a quote-unquote top 6 center. Now, if the Boston Bruins are in a mood where they want to shake things up, they want to get younger, they want to continue building for the future, they just traded away Brad Marchand, they're probably going to trade away Zacha, they're going to go down that direction. All of this, by the way, after they gave those big money and big term deals to Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. Okay, I gotta stop talking about it, man. Somebody pinch my cheek. I keep on bringing up the same recycled Vancouver Canucks-related talking points when it comes to the Boston Bruins. Anyways, Pavel Zacha is a very strong candidate for second-line center in Montreal. And this was posted about on the Habs subreddit. Mr. Sugarface copied and pasted, or no, he didn't copy and paste it, he cross-posted the Boston Bruins post onto the Habs subreddit, and Turbo, I'm not going to read this guy's username, went out there and said, Zacha's probably an underrated target. He stays healthy, he can put up at least 45 points as a center, 50+% on the faceoffs, he's on a good contract with term, solid Corsi. Not the sexy target, but he is a good one. And I think Montreal Canadiens fans are a little bit traumatized when one of the talking points about this guy and why he's a good player acquisition is, oh, he stays healthy. Like, that's not the main bare minimum expectation that you have for a hockey player to play for you in the NHL, but it's unfortunate that Canadiens fans have to go out there and preface it by saying, yeah, he's good because he doesn't get hurt. Cough, cough, looking at you, Kirby Doc. Anyways, let's move on past that. I'd love it. 2 more years at $4.75 million gives us a chance to see what he can do and to see what the Habs have with Hage. Explore next year's free agent market for centers, see if Doc can stay healthy, and make a first-round pick. I'd love any move that makes the Canadiens better, but isn't trying to make us a contender this offseason. I agree. He's 28, he has played no less than 70 games in his last 4 seasons each, and has experience playing with talent in David Pastrnak. Yes, people will say he leached off the offense of David Pastrnak, which is true, but to me, he can at least show that he plays with elite players without hampering their games. Not every player can do that. You have to trade for Zacha as likely a 35 to 45 point all-around center. If he can do better, it's a bonus. Now, there are some folks that are a little bit wary. Another reply says that Zacha is best suited as 3C. We can't expect him to drive a line. The player he has spent the most time with is Pastrnak, and his results are wildly different with or without him. He got caved in without him. Another reply says, good thing he'd be playing with our own Pastrnak in Ivan Demidov. Demidov and Laine need a big-bodied center who will win battles for pucks and cover their defensive shortcomings. Zacha is a good fit. Now, hyperbolic, yes, I don't think it's fair to say that Ivan Demidov is David Pastrnak right now. He could probably become that at some point in the future, but that remains to be seen. And Pavel Zacha, for the sake of this conversation, his contract only goes on for 2 more seasons after this previously completed one. So Pavel Zacha, I do think, is a very underrated target for the Montreal Canadiens, just as a guy who could be that extra bargain bin pickup. I know bargain bin is a phrase that Red Wings fans have been kind of tossing around jokingly over the past few weeks because Steve Yzerman in Detroit has gone bargain bin hunting quite a bit. But Pavel Zacha could be the definition of a bargain here. Right in his prime age, he's very reasonably cheap, and he was getting 45 to 50 points a year. Sure, that production is going to dip if he's not playing with David Pastrnak, but ultimately, there is enough talent there to have him slot in comfortably, I'd say, as a 2C. Is he a prime 2C on a Stanley Cup winning team? Maybe not, but still, Montreal doesn't need to be a prime contender at this very moment in time, right? They can still work it through over the next few seasons, maybe miss the playoffs once or twice, but as long as they display projectable growth, as long as these guys on the team, the young guys, continue to get better, then I think it's a pretty big win. And Pavel Zacha could be the supporting force needed to help allow that to happen a little bit more smoothly than if he hadn't been on the team, or if they went with somebody else that wasn't as good as him. I don't know, man. There are reasonable assets to go out there and try to expend if the Boston Bruins are looking for firsts and prospects here. We had just made a video about Philip Mayshaw earlier in today's show. Could the Bruins be interested in him? Okay, maybe not, especially since we just made a video talking about how he's not good. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of Pavel Zacha heading over to the Montreal Canadiens. From the Boston Bruins, what do you think they would want from a Montreal Canadiens team, prospect-wise, draft pick-wise? And if you're a Bees fan, what is it that you think the Canadiens should offer you to make a Pavel Zacha trade go through and to make it actually worth your time? Habs fans, do you like this idea? Yay or nay? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.